It made me realize that there are a lot more like-minded people out there in the world. It wasn't really a thing to explore your passions, and I would be worried about what people would think. It's really important to find those relationships where you can feel like your true self. So I'm currently at Centennial Park and I just set up at this really nice spot in the middle of the park. It's a lovely sunny day here in Sydney, and today I'm going to spend a little bit of time for myself, and I've got some snacks here to accompany me. This is a beetroot slice, which I'm going to try for the first time now. I'm obsessed with the mushroom version of this, so I haven't really tried the beetroot one. This is really good actually. It's my birthday in a couple of months and I'm turning 28. So I wanted to talk a little bit about some things that I wish I knew in my early 20s, things that I know now and I wish that I knew back then. Financial literacy. Some financial lessons that I wish I had in my early 20s is learn how to budget. I had my first job when I was 15. I worked at McDonald's and KFC, and I remember I really hated that job. But I was so young, I was 15 or 16, and I didn't really see money as something that I could save. Fair enough, I was only very young. But it wasn't up until I finished uni and I moved out of home that I had learned the concept of budgeting. So before that, I would spend my paycheck every time I received it because I was living at home and I didn't have to pay rent, didn't have to pay food or anything. So I kind of just like bought so much random stuff. I remember buying shoes, clothes, things that I've not even used for longer than 6 months. Even up until I was like 22, I was doing that. And the thing that actually helped me a lot was this book called The Barefoot Investor. My dad gave me this book when I graduated and he wrote a little message behind it. It was a really wholesome parental message. When I read the book, it inspired me a lot to look after my money a little bit more. And the main takeaway message that I have learned from that book is to pay yourself first. Every time you get your paycheck, make sure you have something a little bit saved, and over time that savings will grow and you'll have some money set aside just in case of emergency or just to make you feel safe in case you lose your job or in case something happens that you need to go somewhere for or visit your family. The next thing I wish I knew in my early 20s is to prioritize self-care. Self-care, I believe, can come in many forms and it means differently for everyone. For me, it's like taking time to recharge and spend time on my own. For example, like moments like this, where I'm sitting at a park on my own and all I can hear are like the birds chirping, people talking from afar, and it's really quiet and I'm smelling fresh air. In your early 20s, I think people can get caught up in partying and meeting lots of new people and putting yourself out there and going to lots of things, which is good. And that's a good way to socialize and meet new people. But I think it's still really important to spend time on your own and get to know yourself. I didn't like doing those things up until like I was 25. And before that, I would get so much anxiety if I'm doing stuff alone. For example, if a weekend is coming up and I didn't have anything planned, I would sort of get this anxiety and I would freak out because, you know, am I boring? Like, why am I at home doing nothing on the weekends, or do I not have any friends? You know, those kind of thoughts. But now I tend to see them as taking time to recharge and taking time for myself. And that has helped me a lot. Just be in a better mental state and not worrying too much about days where I don't have anything planned, because that's okay. I'll just do whatever I feel like on that day. If I want to go to the beach or if I want to try out a class, it gives me time to do those things. The next one is building relationships. Looking back, I wish I knew that relationships relationships are probably going to be one of the most important thing in your life as you grow up. And I don't mean just romantic relationships, I also mean close relationships and friendships. When you grow up, it's really important to find those relationships where you can feel like your true self and find those relationships that recharge your energy. That can be really hard because when I was young, I definitely didn't recognize that. I surrounded myself with people or forced myself to be with people that didn't really recharge my energy and sort of drain my social battery. But I spent time with those people because I didn't have anyone else to do anything with. I didn't have that many friends growing up. When I did make friends, I sort of just held on to them because I felt like it was better than having no friends. But now I'm slowly realizing that as you grow up, it's really important to build the true relationships that will be of real value to you. There are a lot of times where relationships are not actually good for you because they're not the right people for you to grow. It's better than having 1 or 2 really good friends rather than like 5 or 10 friends that you don't really know. Oh my God, it's getting really cold. I'm gonna put on my jumper. Exploring passions. I think it's really important to explore your passions from a young age. For me, growing up in an Asian family in the Philippines, it wasn't really a thing to explore your passions. It's very like grow up, study really hard, get a good job, meaning like a job that's respectable or a job that's secure and that earns a decent kind of money. And it wasn't until I graduated uni and I moved out and got a full-time job, I was really able to explore my passions. And sometimes you don't really know what your passions are until you do them. So part of that is also trying out new things, even though you might not like it. I didn't play any sports growing up. I played sports here and there only for very short times because I wasn't good at them. I would quit and I would be worried about what people would think. But now I have started playing volleyball for close to a year now, quite consistently, and I really, really like it. I have definitely seen some improvements. I'm still not quite there yet. It was something that I didn't know I would find enjoyable until I tried it. And when I tried it and I persevered, because at the start I really was going to stop going because I sucked. I felt really let down, and now I've persevered and I've played consistently every week for almost a year and I'm really, really enjoying it. I'm still not the best at it, but that's part of the fun because I push to improve myself and the games are fun, and it's just something that I do that kind of takes my mind off work and my problems in life, because for a few hours I'm just focused on playing and it's a good distraction. Because I feel like your early 20s is pushed towards more like getting a good job. We tend to forget to explore our passions, so I think it's really important that if you're interested in doing something, go for it because you've got nothing to lose. But also if you feel that you don't have any interests or passions, just try out something new. Even if you don't like it, or even if you feel like you won't like it, just try it anyways. And if you enjoy it, keep at it, keep doing it consistently. You might find a new hobby or a new passion, and it just makes life much more enjoyable because you're doing things that make you happy. Next one is seeking help. It's probably one of the most important things that I've learned throughout my 20s is that it's really crucial to seek help. I myself have battled with mental health issues, and growing up sometimes it's really hard to seek help because you feel like keeping it to yourself and just going about your life would be the best thing to do. It's definitely not, and it's definitely okay to seek help. When I battled with mental health issues, I sought professional help. I received some counseling, and it just really helped put things into perspective. It makes you realize that whatever you are feeling or whatever you are experiencing is okay, and that you can get through anything no matter how hard or difficult it is. Only speaking from personal experience, but whenever I spoke to my counselor, I see it from a different point of view, and I realized that maybe it's not so bad, or maybe whatever I was feeling is normal. Take more risks. One of the biggest risks I took in my life was to move out of home. So I moved out of home when I was 22, 23. Whenever I finished uni, I moved to Melbourne, and I was very nervous because I've never moved out of home before. I had my first full-time job, and it was the first time where I had to pay the bills, the food, the rent, everything on my own. It was at a place where I didn't know anyone. It was probably one of the best things I have ever done because I was able to meet people who are gay just like me. I was able to make friends that were similar to me or had similar interests as me. It made me realize that there are a lot more like like-minded people out there in the world. Where I grew up, I didn't really meet as many like-minded people or people who just have different viewpoints on life. And when I moved to Melbourne, I met those people and I was friends with those people, and it was really refreshing to meet people who you can learn a thing or two from, or who have traveled the world and are able to tell you these stories. If you are at a position where you are able to leave home or move out to a different city where you grew up, I would highly recommend it. It may sound scary because you're leaving everything you know behind, trying something different, live somewhere else, figure it out on your own. Next one would be is to live in the present. Not gonna lie, I tend to go on social media quite often. It causes me to not really live in the present. For example, if I'm out somewhere and I'm just on my phone, I might be ignoring whoever I was with, or I might not even be noticing whatever is in front of me. I think it's really important to try and live in the present, disconnect from technology or social media, go somewhere, be with someone and fully be with them and communicate with them and talk to them without the distraction of phones. Because there are a lot of things that you might miss. I've definitely done that, and I tend to not really appreciate whatever that's in front of me.